I used to be called super thick by my teachers. You're useless. Obviously, it's not like that now. So in my head, I wanted to prove these people wrong. Now I can do this. So that kind of kept driven, and I wanted to succeed more and more and more, see how far I can push it. It was horrible at the time, but at the same time, it's given me kind of take that, I'm going to do this.
Welcome to Your Mind, Your Business, the podcast that dives into the real grit of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carina McLeod, entrepreneur and fitness fanatic. And today we have a special guest, Mike Linger from Essex Games and Winger Sports Academy.
Yes.
Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm glad that you've joined us today.
Yes.
Your first podcast, you can tick it off your bucket list.
It was on my bucket list, so yeah.
Which is fantastic. And one thing that I like to start off with when I do a podcast is to be able to give the audience an opportunity to get to know who you are today.
Yeah.
And then I hit rewind and go to the start of your journey and really dive into the real get deep in terms of the real true grit of being an entrepreneur. So I'll let you share with the audience a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so at present I have a few businesses. My main business is Winger Sports Academy, which is sports coaching in schools. So PE lessons, after school curriculum. So we do that around in Chelmsford, Billericay and Brentwood in Essex. So that's been going for 25 years. Yeah. So that's the main bread and butter. I have a sports events company called Dodgeball London, which is dodgeball in London. So for corporate events, stag do's and hen do's. So that's kind of linked to Winger Sports Academy. So they're kind of two companies together. And then I've got Essex Games, which you know about, which is functional fitness competitions. So where you kind of go through pain for about 60 to 70 to 80 minutes of different activities, very similar to people that know about high rocks and turf games and athletics, which has been running for about 2 years. Do that with my business partner, Sam Raven, which is going well. So I'm juggling all these businesses at once. Yeah, and it's interesting, that's for sure.
I can imagine. But firstly, congratulations to have your own business going for 25 years is fantastic, because a lot of people don't reach that 3-year, 5-year point. So 25 years, I'm sure you have lots to share about those 25 years.
Yes.
So let's hit rewind, because I'm keen to understand what even got you into starting up your first business, and whether that was the first thing that you did or you had a job or a more corporate role before that.
Yeah, so from school time, didn't learn a thing. I kind of loved sport. Sport was my thing. Football was a big part of my life, and running actually. I kind of end up going to boarding school because it was a half sporty school, and because my parents can't deal with me at the time, which was good because then I behaved, and then I had sport in the afternoon. And I'll be honest, I hated it. It was in Gloucestershire. I'm an Essex boy, miles away, and the only way I could get out was join the cross country team. So I ended up joining the cross country team. I got quite good at it. Ended up running for the southwest of England cross country. Went through there, and then ended up going to Southend College doing sport as I did. Then I ended up going to university doing sport. From there, I got into football qualification, and I was a football coach for Chelsea down in Richmond area. I loved it, and I'd never made it as a footballer, so the next best thing was being a football coach, and that was kind of where I wanted to go. But unfortunately, the money wasn't great. It was at a time where if professionals got injured and they had to retire, they would take your place, really. So you couldn't really move up the ladder as well as you possibly can now. So I come away from that, kind of lost around in my 20s. Actually got a job with an internet company selling internet space at the time. Did that for a couple of years. Didn't know really where I was going, what I was going to do. I was kind of 22 around about that time. And then I worked for a celebrity as a right-hand man, really. You're now looking at me wanting to know who this
I'm just smiling, yep.
Okay, so I worked for this celebrity. He was actually Jamie Oliver.
Oh, okay.
So I worked with him for 7 years. I wasn't a chef. I wasn't interested in food. I was more interested in the party side of things, which was brilliant for me. He was a great guy. The way he was passionate and the way he set up businesses himself kind of rubbed onto me. Although I went to university, I didn't really have many qualifications apart from sport. I didn't really learn enough. But learning from him how to be an entrepreneur, how to deal with people, and he's very much a people's person, and kind of gave me the hunger to set my own business up. So I was there for about 7 years. It was a time for me to leave because I couldn't really progress as myself. I had a good 7 years partying because he didn't really go out partying as much, so I kind of did that for him. And it was a great time. But it was time for me to leave. And at the time I thought, right, I'm going to set up a sports coaching company. I've got all the qualifications. I did work for Chelsea, Arsenal, QPR. So I kind of right, let's do this. So as most people, especially young people, think, easy, I'm going to set up a business. I'm going to have the best time of my life, and this is how it's going to roll. And I'm going to retire at 40. And unfortunately, it's not like that at all. At the time, split up with my partner. We had a 9-month-old child as well. I set this business up. Was living on $6,000 a year in my car, going around to schools trying to get work. Turned away. Could not get into schools. It was hard. God, I think, what am I doing? But I believed in myself. I believed what I wanted to do. I knew I was good what I could do. I knew I was good with people. I knew I could coach. So I kept grafting. Didn't live in my car for 4 years. It took me a good 4 years to get into schools. I got into one, did a really good job, and then teachers and parents talked, especially in an area, and then I started getting more work come in, and I built the business up, and then from there, from 2007 to 2012, things grew quite quickly. More schools going, can you come in and do this work for us? And before I knew it, I was starting to build a team, which is good. I was getting coaches come, working for me. And it was growing and growing. And that's when I then decided, well, I was in schools and we're doing lots of dodgeball. Kids just love playing dodgeball, throwing balls at each other. As a coach, you could throw balls at children, get away with it. But everyone loved it. It was enjoyable. And then I decided, well, hang on, adults are big children. So I decided to set up Dodgeball London. I found a venue in Canary Wharf. I had a bar, perfect. And we started running corporate events, stag do's and hen do's, advertising on the websites, and that went through the roof. You kind of built that. People were booking on corporate events, booking where they'll play dodgeball, from anything from 10 people to 300 people coming to play dodgeball for a few hours. I'm a very good organiser. It's just been the way OCD, so everything has to be perfect. So I found that quite easy. These little things that you don't really learn in school were kind of things I was good at because it's just come naturally. And because I'm very much, if I like something, I really work at it. And that really took off. And things were rosy. Everything was going well. Business, got married, children, and then COVID kicked in.
Yep.
But before COVID, I set up another business, cryotherapy business. So where Winger Sports Academy in Dodgeball London was going so well, it was building and building. The business, it was a time where we just had the London Olympics for that time. The government gave sports so much money. They threw money at sports. Personally, they didn't do it in the correct way because they just gave money. And then when it ran out, it was gone. There was no stability with it. But there was so much to generate and lots of people doing sport. And where I built a good business, good reputation, life was brilliant. I even had to get a PA because I had so much work. I was thinking, this is great. Everything was good. I decided to set up a cryotherapy business in Brentwood in Essex. That was great. Things were going well with that. And like I said, then suddenly COVID hit and everything went to pot.
I can imagine. And before we touch on COVID, I'm keen to go back a little bit and unpack some parts because your story is fascinating and I've just learnt so much more about you because I didn't know that because we've done races together and we're kind of like, it's very like short and sweet, our conversations. But it's fascinating the fact that you've got this passion, right, which is sport. So you always know that's kind of, I guess, the fuel, the fire in your belly. And then all of a sudden you're working along someone, Jamie Oliver in this case, who's just inspired you. Did you ever think before working with Jamie when you kind of, you come out of uni, you're not really sure what you want to do, that you were going to be an entrepreneur, or was it really not until you started getting that kind of influence from Jamie?
Yeah, I think at the time when I finished uni, I thought I was just going to go into coaching for a club. I already done a bit of work with Chelsea. I was doing well there, and again, I was quite good at it. And I thought I was going to just work up the ladder, and I was happy to do that. It didn't work out, and then obviously going to work for Jamie and just being around him, I was literally with him probably 12, 13 hours a day. From 6:30 in the morning. We were, all day, and just watching it, he just rubbed off on me. Obviously I wasn't that interested in the cooking side of things, but the way he was, and he set up businesses himself, and he put trust into me. He knew I wasn't qualified but he believed in me, and that helped me massively. And just being around him, I think he's about 2 years older than me, and I thought, wow, this is the kind of way I want to go. I want to do this. I'm a risk taker. I've always have, even from little. I'm a risk taker, and I think if you do set your own business up, you've got to take risks. Big saying I said, no risks, no story. You can't just sit there and kind of, I don't know. No, you've got to take a risk. They don't always work out, but if they don't work out, you learn from it, and then what you try and put into place for the next one. So I think because I'm always a risk taker. I'm always been an ideas, even when I was younger, making games up in the playground and things. I'm always an ideas guy. I think, and then being around someone like Jamie just kind of projected me to think, right, I want to do my own business. Because he sometimes used to get me to, like, he got into properties, like, can you make sure that this room's set up how I would want it, or this room, and my kind of taste of things. Because I was with him so much, he's kind of style was a little bit different to me, but I knew what he liked. So I was kind of going in there doing those things, and it's kind of, you end up kind of in yourself, kind of, this is kind of my business, but it's not my business, because I'm going in there going, right, what we need, these kind of lampshades, this colour wall to go with this. And that kind of rubbed off, and I thought, well, I want to kind of go off and set something up, which is my passion, not someone else's passion.
I love that. And I love the fact of what you said about he believed in you, because you then go on to set your own business up, no money, like living in your car for a bit. Then, but you said something really interesting, is that you kind of always at the back of your mind believed in yourself, because that's something that a lot of people will struggle with, right? It's that kind of the persistence, the knockbacks, the no's. I mean, so you're going for it for a few years, and you're thinking, right, okay, I believe in myself. Right, I'm going to go for it. Were there any moments where you were like, seriously, what am I doing? Like that self-doubt creeping in?
Yeah, I have massive self-doubt anyway. But like I said, I talk to myself. It's as mad as it sounds, I talk to myself quite a bit to, you can do this and believe in yourself. It's not easy at all. There'll be times where I go to school and you never get past the office ladies. Suddenly the office ladies, as nice as they are, just in case they're listening, they're lovely ladies. It's hard to get past them. And you go in there and go, I'm coming, I run a sports coaching company. Can I put some free sessions on? Some schools are good, let you. Some are no. And it was just hard. And you got to keep knocking on those doors. I think also at that time, I had no option. Like I said, I was on little money at the time. I was in my car, 9-month-old. It's just a partner at the time. It's like, got to do something, in those days where you're thinking, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. Just try one more time. Another saying, hey, just keep trying one more time. And I kept being persistent. I'm driven, and I'm very focused, and I want something, I'll go for it. And that was always, come on, you can do this. Something's going to happen. And luckily it did. I've got one school, and the head there is amazing, and she was well connected in other areas. And because I was in there with her, other schools started taking note. Okay. And before I knew it, Essex County Council, they started using me at things, because one school used me, which was highly regarded, then the others want to use you. And that's how it kind of went. So just suddenly the doors opened. But it was good 4 years. It was tough. It was really hard, And like I said, you just got to keep believing in yourself. I think also it was tricky sometimes. I don't now, but I used to drink a lot as well. So that kind of used to at the time I used to take my worries away from drink, but then it kind of that's when your negative would kick in, thinking, why am I doing this? But luckily I was a young age and quite hungry, and I had a young son that I wanted to kind of look after. I needed to build a business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's the thing that people don't see, right? They'll be like, okay, you've got this successful business, you're in all these schools, but people forget that part that you've got to go through. And that's the challenge, right? Because you've got social media that making it out like these shiny success stories that are overnight success, and missing out a really huge part of what it really takes is that grit of you've been told no, and then you get that one breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
And then it just builds into all of that. So hats off to you for like being persistent, right? As you say, just driven and going for it. So your business starts booming. How do you then stay grounded, right? Because you know, when your business is booming, you can easily kind of go with that, right? And then lose sort of sight of where you started out, and sometimes lose direction in where you're going.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think at the time, when you're younger as well, you're driven by money to do well. When I was working with Jamie, I'd done well. I drove cars for him, and it's kind of what I wanted, but my own. So that I was quite driven by that side of things. I wanted to prove my teachers at the time when I was younger, they're a lot different now. Like, I used to be called super thick by my teachers. You're useless. They were terrible. Obviously, it's not like that now. But so in my head, I wanted to prove these people wrong. Now I can do this. So that kind of kept driven, and I wanted to succeed more and more and more. See how far I can push it. And I ended up extending Dodgeball London to Dodgeball Bath, Dodgeball Manchester, Dodgeball Barcelona. So we had these set up and kind of keep building. I just wanted to see how far I can go, really, and that kind of drove me always in my head what people used to think. So that was kind of it was horrible at the time, but at the same time, it's given me kind of take that, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I guess you've switched that negative,
Yeah,
almost into a positive, but you've got to manage those voices, I guess, in trying to make sure that they don't get the better of you in terms of the direction you're heading. So you mentioned about COVID. Talk to me about what happened there.
Yeah, so kind of, as I said, had the coaching business, dodgeball businesses. I think cryotherapy business was set up in 2018. Everything was going well, and then kind of COVID kind of kicked in around that time. The schools all closed. So if the schools are not working, you're not getting any money, so money was, the cryotherapy business had to close, and it kind of spiraled, kind of hit me, and I went into depression with it. That was tough, because suddenly everything was going well, and then suddenly everything started going wrong. I'm on the move all the time, I go on holiday, I couldn't sit still. I'd be thinking work. If I'm laying there, I'm not making work, I'm not making money. So that was hard. COVID was hard, where I was stuck in at home. As lovely as my house was, and being with family, that was really tough. I'm watching the work kind of just disappear under your nose. It was hard. And to be honest, from then on, it's been an absolute hard graft. Suddenly you're up there high, everything's going right, and then suddenly it just kind of hit the floor. The cryotherapy business was okay. We managed to open some of it up because it was under medical, so we were allowed for wellbeing. Cryotherapy helped with wellbeing, but it was only limited amount we could do there. We had a few problems with the business. There was 3 of us in the business partnerships. A couple fell out, so that was tough as well. And then COVID went on for a few years. Schools were opening a bit. They cut our work, so we had less work. The dodgeball, everyone wasn't. Thing is, with Dodgeball London, people were going into work. No one was going into London, so that completely stopped. We used to have about 150 events a year.
Wow.
And last year we only had 16, so we have not recovered at all. So yeah, that was really hard, and it hit me, my mental health massively. I gave up drinking completely, because it just affected my well-being. And I went for a real bad patch for quite a while. It was really tough to get help as well. I found it really hard. Speaking to the right people, getting the right medications. As much as there seems to be a lot of help out there, I don't think there's enough of it out there. And I think where the build up for years and running a business and being 100 miles an hour every day through your sleep, first thing you wake up, work, on holiday, work. Especially with school stuff. If you're on holidays, there's less work because school's not open, you've got holiday camps and whatnot. There's not much, there's no money coming in, and you've got coaches that need paying. And although they're self-employed, the good coaches won't hang around if they're not getting money. So you wanted to make money for them to keep them happy, to be good for the business. And that kind of, everything just went downhill. It was tough. Getting through it, the other side, slowly, you go back to schools and they're like, no, we're not doing sport now, we're cutting it. Schools that about got all their funds cut as well. So there was less sport going into schools and we were getting less and less work. That completely, I lost quite a lot of staff through it. Schools are kind of trying to do it in themselves. And it from there it's been tough. The cryotherapy business, I stayed for another, I think, 2 years after COVID. And I sold my part because I fell out with my business partner at the time. And everything seemed going wrong. Dodgeball London, like I said, no one was working in London. So there was no events, stag do's, hen do's, people weren't really having them. And so that kind of completely dried up. And there was times where there was no money coming in, and kind of from there, he's kind of trying to, like, you're rebuilding. You're at the top, you're at your peak, and suddenly you're all taken away, and you're back at the bottom again, and you're kind of at, about 15 years older, and you're like, have you got the energy to go again?
Yeah, definitely. When you were at your peak, did you ever think that peak was going to ever? Did you ever think that it was your peak, or did you sort of think, this is where I'm just going to roll? No,
I never thought it was my peak. I set a plan to go to retire at 50. I'm now 48. It's not going to happen. And I thought I'm going to keep building as much as I can and, build the business. I wanted to make it into a franchise. I wanted, same with cryotherapy, wanted to franchise that. Start franchising the businesses out and grow it, get to 50, sell a few of the businesses and then maybe invest in something else. Yeah, and like I said, that was the plan, not to kind of stop. And the plan was get to 50, then be an investor. But you have to change the sales now, so yeah.
It's tough, right? Because the part that not everyone sees is you've had to make sacrifices in order to get to where you were, right? Sacrifice your time. That start of the knockbacks, right? The no's. So you're flying there, and then all of a sudden, of course, it's like everything that you've been working for 15 years just comes crashing down, right? Did you talk about your mental health side of things and going into depression? Was that something that you were able, because you're openly talking about it now, but I'm guessing that wasn't the case to start with, like, of that awareness and being able to almost manage it?
Yeah, I was in denial quite a long time. I didn't really tell anyone about it. It got tough, really tough. Dark days, real dark days. I hid a lot away from it. I then did open up to my wife about it, and she was brilliant. She a lot. It makes me emotional. Yeah, it was tough. It was hard. And then I did start speaking to people because I never really wanted to tell people about it, speak about it. But I told my close friends, and I was shocked how supportive and friendly. And the more I spoke about it to people, the more I think other people might have gone through the same thing but didn't speak about it. Because even now, I'll be in the gym and people come up to me and go about my training. And I say a lot of it, that's a lot I train now is because of my mental health. And I said, well, it stemmed from my mindset. And they're like, yeah, I struggle, and they don't really say it, they're a bit shy saying it. But at the same time, they're like, really, is that why you do it? Because that's how I feel. And you then come across so many people that training because of their mindset and they got into kind of a bad way of depression. So yeah, at first I was a bit worried about it, but now I'm quite open about it. I want people to know. I want to help people that go through it, saying that you can get through it. I hate to think anyone's sitting there kind of being quiet about it and not doing anything about it, because as much sometimes you think people don't care, there's always people out there who do care, and it's not a nice place to be.
Definitely not. And, you know, hats off to you for being able to be open about it and going through that journey, because, as you say, there's always going to be that denial piece.
Mm.
And it takes a lot of courage and guts to then just admit it and then to share it. But actually, the fact that you're sharing it, and for those that are listening today, I'm sure so many people can resonate because, as you say, you're talking with people at the gym, you're inspiring others, right? To just be open about it, to, you know, it is many emotions that people go through. But also, and one of the reasons why I created this podcast was because people assume that business owners are sitting pretty, running a business, getting all this money coming in, and not actually understanding the real the pain that can come with it, from, and the emotional and mental toll as well that comes.
Yeah, and I think it also changes your mindset a lot of things. Like I said before, when I was younger, I was driven by the money. I'm not driven by money now. I'm driven by happiness. I'm happy if I'm working and work's going well. That's what I'm more interested. I'm not interested in money now, which was mad because, like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, it was completely the other way around. And I know, I had done well. I had money, and did it make me really happy? No. I think I'd rather be happy and have good people around me than miserable. And I think you've got to always look for your happiness now. And happiness can be building a business. It doesn't mean you can't have that kind of drive to do well and want to, if you make money, brilliant. I'm not saying I don't want money. We do want money, but it's not my first drive now. Drive is to have a successful business for my children to see that, you can follow your dreams and get there, and have maybe something they could take over eventually as well.
That's a really key point that you've raised, right? And I think that comes down to this word success. And I've discussed this a bit with previous guests, as in how you quantify success. Because previously, I'm guessing success for you would have been about the money, right? And about I'm getting X, or how many sites or locations you had dodgeball in. Whereas you've had a complete different shift.
Yeah, completely different shift. You just see things completely different. Probably experience, isn't it? As you get older, you get more experience. It's also on that trusting the right people. At first, I put a lot of trust in people as well. There's unfortunately a lot of snakes out there in business, and you've got to be careful who you speak to and how you are. You don't need lots of people knowing your business and what's going on. You just need the right people around you, and you've got to go with your gut as well. I think a lot of it, and I think that's a key thing. And you've got to be happy. If it's not making you happy, you're not going to build anything properly. If you're happy, you will build things. I've very much always been, even from a child, if I enjoyed doing something, I'll be good at it. But if I didn't enjoy doing it, I've got no interest. And if you're miserable, down, you're not going to be enjoying it. You're not going to put your whole heart into something.
Yeah, it's really important to have that passion. And, and going back, and I don't want to probing, but not probe too much, but we've got this social media part. So you're in COVID or even post COVID now, right? Because you say you're still recovering, even back then, and COVID was 2019 when it all started. You've got all social media where everybody's like, I'm amazing, this is great, my business is this, and how do you block that out to make sure that it doesn't set you off, or it's a lot of noise?
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes, I go on social media and you see someone that's saying amazing their work is and how successful they're doing, and it does rattle me a little bit. I do say that, but I've come to learn that's not true, because I don't believe it. I know it as well. I've even some people that have done that, and I've met those people or know those people, and I know it's not how it is. And I think you just got to ignore it, and you just got to build your own way of how you're going to do it and do your things. I think it's important to always, like, this is good with this podcast, is the highs and the lows, because in anything in life, nothing goes smoothly all the way you want. You can't set something out. You're always going to have an A, B, C, D plan. I think it's important that people put more of that out there, really. Things haven't gone as it planned. Doesn't mean I'm going to give up. It doesn't mean it's going to be a negative post. You can turn it into a positive post and say how you're going to change it. What's your next steps? Yeah, this hasn't worked out this time, or, business hasn't been great, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to change a different direction, a different structure, and try and go that avenue. And if they want to broadcast how they do it, that's fine. But don't put, everything's hunky-dory, I'm sitting there in the Maldives, and all this, when 9 out of 10 times it's not true.
Would you change anything?
Yes, I would probably wish I learnt more at school, because I found it really hard. I've basically had to taught myself everything I've done. Google, look things up, research more now. And I've probably, as a business owner and wanting to build new businesses, I've had to do really a lot of research now, read up on it, which is hard, because at the time at school, I wish I learnt more. I've just mucked about, and I try to, especially my middle son might listen to this, especially him. He's very much like me and thinks everything's going to be fine and likes to be the joker, where you need to learn a little bit more at school. I think that would have helped me a little bit, and maybe some of the bad decisions I made. But at the same time, I'm learning more now. I'm enjoying learning things. But yeah, I do wish I learned a bit more at school. So kids, make sure you listen at school.
Definitely. That's really, really huge advice. And how about that part where, you've got the business that's just like doing exceptionally well. Would you want to go back to that? And the reason why I ask that is because you've had a complete shift, right, in terms of how you view success. Would you want to go back to the money, that kind of like when it was just all seeming not necessarily easy, but it was all going to plan?
No, I'd learn from those, what I did right there, what I know now, and go again and build something else and build what I've learned, experience. I never want to go back. I never go back, always go forward and take those things, the good things and the bad things with you, and move on. And you just experience, and you always get make mistakes. So I'll never go back and change anything, or maybe do something a little bit different, because I think they're done that way for a reason, for where you are now to go forward.
100%, 100%. And I know you do a lot of training. You talked about training, yes. Mental health.
Yeah.
Is that your way to keep out the noise and to just keep you focused so you know where you're going?
Yeah, so I've been training, as you know, is my life. I train every day. There's not a day I don't train. People tell me I overtrain, but I don't, overtrain, train every day, just always be fit. I need to train my mind. I go in the gym every morning, 5:30. I do 2 hours minimum. I train for competitions, because I get my kicks from that now. I love to compete. I'm competitive, as you know. And that's what I enjoy doing. And I go into gym in the morning, and I'm like a dog. I need to run. I need to throw weights around, do a HIIT session for a couple of hours, and I'm ready for the day. Then I'm set. If I don't train for some reason, for example, like we've done High Rocks recently, I didn't have a competition to 4:30 in the afternoon. The daytime over the place. Some people have to have a coffee. I need to go to the gym. The gym's been amazing for me. I think will prolong my life. It's keeping me looking young. But I think it's so good for you, for your well-being. I met some amazing people through the gym and training. But for your mind, it's brilliant. I feel more focused than when I go in to do my work and tackling the different problems that might occur. But yeah, for my mind, it's brilliant.
I think that's, and I can completely resonate with that, because that's exactly why I train or overtrain, as a result of dealing with the noise, and to keep you focused as well. And it's great that you have that awareness, right? Do you ever get sleepless nights?
I used to have really bad. I would say probably up to about 5-6 years ago, I couldn't sleep at night. I'd be restless, restless legs, be up through the night, everything. But 6 years ago, I changed a lot of my training. I got into competitions, and I'm become obsessed with it. My eating's boring, my social life's boring. I don't do anything apart from train, eat chicken, steak, and veg, and my sleeping's brilliant. I can sometimes have naps in the day. I can we were in Malaga with Sam, and he's like, it's unbelievable. Like you'd be talking and go, I'm going to sleep now, and you'd be sleeping seconds. I can, if you said now, let's go sleep, I'll sleep now because I use it as my recovery for my body and my mind. I completely switch off. I've taught, and it's been hard because I used to everything go through your head. You must know this. You're laying there. Oh my God, it all works through. I've managed to now talk myself that take that out of my head. And Mike, you need to recover your body. If you want to go to gym 5:30, if you want to keep up with those 20-year-olds, you need to recover your mind and your body. And now I sleep so well. I can just sleep anywhere, anytime. Brilliant. I love it.
I'm so jealous.
I know people go, how do you do it? But I've actually, that's a self-taught thing. I just changed the whole mindset of sleep. Before, I used to hate it because you're there laying there, looking at the ceiling, thinking, oh God, got that bill to pay. Oh, that person can't come into work. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And then I thought, right, take that out of your mind because that's not helping you. And it helps so much. I've just managed to kind of clear my mind. Yeah, I do have 1 or 2 times that, I do have bad days, but majority of the time, I sleep so well now.
That's incredible.
So I jump in. One thing also I think has helped, no drinking alcohol helps. I think eating the right foods, drinking plenty. I think all these things help get into your kind of recovery and your mindset, and that sleep's one of them as well.
Yeah, healthy body, healthy mind, 100%. And you're talking about, that it's not been easy ever since COVID. Yeah, the fact that you're sleeping easy, but I'm guessing your mind's still going a million miles an hour, even with the training, or have you kind of managed to slow your mind down in the day as well?
No, it's still been tough, and I'm not ashamed to say recently my mental health hasn't been great recently. I've gone through a bit of a bad patch, a lot better now, just due to work stresses. I'm looking to set up a new business, so because I need to build something else, because the sports coaching side of things isn't great, so I need to think plan B. So that kind of affected my mindset, my mind quite a lot. Winter always does. It's a hard time of year as well, isn't it? So yeah, it's been tough, and difficult to switch off. And sometimes I go in the gym and I might, be on the running machine and I'll be thinking, and suddenly an idea will pop up. Brilliant, and suddenly I sometimes think I could do that. And sometimes I go for a drive. People go for a walk. I go for a drive, and an idea will come in my head one day, and that helps me a lot. Those kind of things, kind of ideas come in there. I do find it sometimes hard to switch off in the gym. Although it helps me overall, sometimes that fog's sitting there.
You've run your own business. I guess, like you talked about business partners with the Cairo. Is it Cairo?
Cryo.
Very. Right, yeah. But you've been doing your part on your own. Does it get lonely?
Yeah, it used to. I used to always want a business partner. Although I've got a business partner with Essex Games, Sam, I've learned that it's better on my own than with a business partner. I do enjoy, although, because he might be listening to this, he's my mate. So yeah, I do enjoy being in business with him. But I think overall, any other businesses I'll always be on my own. When I first started, I thought it was quite lonely doing it. But now I bounce off ideas, to friends, close friends, other people that are in the same kind of boat, not in the same industry, and people have ideas of, well, have you tried this and that? So I kind of speak to people more. If you feel lonely, if you're running your own business and you do feel it's a bit lonely, speak to people that run their own businesses, because they're out of advice. I'm not a believer you're competing with anyone or anything. You want to help each other. Everyone is in the same boat. So I always think, like for me, if someone wants to speak to me, speak to me. Do you know what I mean? Because it's funny how many people go through the same things and thoughts just because it's different industry. Everyone's in the same kind of boat. You might have staff, and some people might have, I don't know, some kind of products. It's how you deal with everything at, different times. And everyone does, going back to the staff, have staff, and people have problems with staff to deal with. So I think communicate with other people that are in the the same kind of way as you trying to build business. I think that's key to speak to people.
Yeah, definitely, because you learn from other people as well, and
Absolutely.
and as you say, you're kind of going through that learning process now and setting up. You've got other ideas in your head. Do you ever have those questions though? Like, I know you mentioned about the school, and you didn't take in as much as you'd have liked to. You're doing things again with the business. Anything in your mind that's saying you can't do this, like that kind of questioning going on?
Yeah, I think everyone does. I think everyone questions themselves. I don't think I can do this. Don't think I'm
Mm.
good enough. I get it all the time. My evil me sits on my shoulder and tells me, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yeah, I'm going to do it. The other side, yeah, I am. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to do it. Well, if it don't work out, it don't work out. You've got to give it a go. You've got to take that risk. You've got to. If you are running a business, it's so important. Take that risk. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's part of life. Life goes on. You've got to take that risk. But yeah, a lot of times, don't know. Just do it.
I love that, the risk taking. And before we wrap up, I always have one question, which we touched on a bit with when you talked about school, was if you were to talk with your younger self, or Mike, who's just starting out 25 years ago, let's say, what would that be?
That's a tricky one, that one. Like I said, I think I would always, I don't know. That's a really tricky one to finish with. Like I said, learning from school, I would tell myself to learn from school. Setting up, going into winger, I probably would have looked at things a little bit differently. Trying not to be money orientated. Don't worry about that at the time, because money, it will come. If you're good at it, money will come. Instead of thinking money first. So kind of build what you can. If that's kind of doing some free things, whatever industry you're in, and then build from there. And probably, I'll tell you one thing would be, is probably getting yourself out there more, speaking to more people, going to these kind of business days. People have those breakfast mornings, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things. Get yourself out there a bit more. I probably didn't give myself out there as much, because, believe it or not, I'm quite a shy person. But I think, don't worry about what people think. Get yourself out there. Speak to as many people as you can. More people you speak to, the more people are going to know you, the more something will come. So yeah, communicate and speak to people more.
And do you feel like you're doing that now?
Yeah, definitely. Communicate, speaking to a lot more people, and more people asking questions. And you meet some amazing people, and you meet people that, wow, you could connect something with them somehow. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think, but then I think when I was younger, you're a bit younger, and you're a bit more shy. Maybe, well, not everyone is, but you're not as confident now. I'm 48. I'm thinking, I'll go and speak to you now. Well, doesn't matter. We're all the same people in different clothes.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's interesting, isn't it? It's that naivety that kind of gets you to start right at the beginning, like 25 years ago, and then you then get wise with age in terms of how you look at things as well.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I've got one other thing to say. Yeah, set a business plan out. I never did that when I was younger, because I didn't really learn anything. I kind of just went with it. I think now, where I've done with Essex Games, what I'm doing with this new business I'm trying to do is setting a business plan. It doesn't always go as a business plan, but then you kind of got a vision. You've got kind of something to lead you, kind of where to go, instead of going in with a blank canvas. Is that, okay, this is how much money this might cost me to do. How long will it generate to I paid that money back? Or how I need this bit of equipment or whatnot. So I have a business plan, and like a 4-year business plan, which people can get off the internet now. There's so much help out there. But I think, yeah, you need to set yourself a business plan. Be organised.
Manifest it.
Absolutely.
You've been awesome. Thank you. Thank you for really sharing your story, because it's actually, I mean, I find it really inspiring, but also it's a story that I wouldn't have even guessed your story at all, just from conversations that
Yeah.
we've had. So hopefully those that are listening today that feel that kind of feeling it, right, running a business, that they realise they're not alone, and actually talking with others, sharing and being open, and realising that actually a lot of business owners do go through all of this, and it's not just you that's experiencing it.
Yeah, just talk to people. There's always people out there that will help you. Even people don't know me, they ever want to send me a message, I always want to help someone, because I never want to see anyone feeling down or upset about work. You want to enjoy it. Life's short.
Life is short, definitely.
Enjoy it.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening today. Love this episode? Don't miss out. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Instagram as we continue to keep it real.